The morning sun peeked through the broken blinds, casting long shadows across the small room. Jack Rayner rubbed his tired eyes and stretched. The smell of old coffee still lingering in the air. It had been a rough night, like most nights since the war, but today felt different. He smiled when he heard the soft breathing of his 2-year-old daughter, Anna, sleeping in her crib near the window. She was the only light left in his dark world. Jack stood up and walked over to the crib. Brushing a hand through her soft hair, she looked so peaceful, so safe. He kissed her forehead gently, then turned to the kitchen to grab some water. He was only gone 10 seconds. 10 seconds. And when he came back, the crib was empty. At first, Jack thought maybe she had climbed out. She had tried that before, always giggling when she hit the floor. "Anna?" He called out, checking under the bed, behind the couch, even in the closet. Nothing. Silence. And then he saw it. The window was cracked open, only slightly, but enough for someone to reach in. Or take something out. Or someone. His heart dropped. "No," he whispered. "Anna." He ran outside barefoot, ignoring the sharp stones beneath his feet. He looked down the path, to the trees, to the sky, hoping, praying to see someone, anyone. But there was nothing. No footprints, no sound, not even a broken branch. Just empty wind and rising panic. Within minutes, he had called the authorities. They scanned the area, searched nearby homes, asked questions, filled reports. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no DNA, no camera footage, no witnesses. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Jack screamed at them, begged them to look harder, but deep down, he knew something bigger was behind it. He remembered stories. Old rumors from the war. Children disappearing in the night. A black market ring that took kids, especially human ones, sold them across galaxies to the highest bidder. He had always thought it was just horror stories. Something told in hushed voices between soldiers at campfires. But now it felt real, too real. Anna was gone, and no one on Earth seemed able to help. So Jack decided if Earth wouldn't help him, he'd search the stars himself. He sold everything. His tools, his land, even his medals from the war. He used the money to buy a seat on a scavenger ship headed into deep space. The captain, a grumpy alien named Corin, didn't ask questions. Passengers don't get in the way. He said, "That's the rule." Jack nodded. "I'll just watch, learn, and wait." Weeks passed, then months. Jack visited broken colonies, black markets, and outlaw stations. He always carried on a small toy bear in his jacket pocket, hoping someone, somewhere, would recognize it. Most laughed at him. Others told him to give up, but he didn't, couldn't. One day, the ship landed. On a moon colony destroyed by war, ash covered the ground. Buildings lay in ruins. Jack walked through the rubble alone. The silence made his skin crawl. And then he heard a small cry. Faint but clear, not human. But not wild either. Jack turned sharply, moving toward the sound, behind a pile of broken crates. He saw her. Small alien girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old, trembling with fear, her body thin and dirty. Her arms chained to a metal post. Her eyes were wide, terrified. She tried to crawl back when she saw him. "I won't hurt you," Jack said softly. Kneeling down, the girl didn't speak. Instead, she held up her hands, showing the metal cuffs digging into her skin. Jack pulled out a small plasma cutter and freed her. She stared at him, confused. Then she whispered in broken English, "They took me too." Jack's blood froze. He grabbed her shoulders gently. Who took you?" She looked around nervously, then pointed to the sky. "Big ship. Took many humans too." His heart pounded. "Did you see a little girl?" he asked, showing her Anna's photo from his pocket screen. The alien girl stared for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Same eyes. They take her to fireplace. Fireplace. Jack repeated. The girl pointed again to the stars. Furnace world. Jack stood up, his hands trembling. For the first time in months, he had a clue. A real clue. And now? He wasn't alone. He looked at the alien girl, still weak, still shaking. My name's Jack, he said, lifting her gently into his arms. What's yours? She hesitated, then whispered, Leah. Okay, Leah, he said, eyes full of fire. We're going to find them. Asterisk, the old freighter groaned as it lifted off from the ruined moon colony. Inside a cold, dark storage bay, Jack sat on a metal crate, wrapping a blanket around the small alien girl. Leah, she coughed weakly and leaned against him. Her skin pale blue and bruised, her eyes half closed. Jack's heart was heavy. He had just started to accept that he might never find Anna again, but now, a tiny thread of hope had returned. She was alive, maybe, and taken to a place called Furnace World, whatever that meant. He looked down at Leah. You sure she was there? Leah nodded slowly, her voice quiet. I saw her. She cried, like me. The man in black took her. Jack clenched his fists. Then, I'll go through fire if I have to. The door of the storage bay opened, and Corin, the freighter's alien captain, walked in, his tall horns scraping the ceiling. You brought something on board, Corin growled, sniffing the air. Jack stood between him and Leah. She's a child, not cargo. She's trouble, Corin hissed. You know what happens when they find stowaways on Union routes? Jack didn't move. Then let's stay off their routes, Corin glared, then grunted. You owe me fuel and silence. Jack nodded. Deal. That night, Leah couldn't sleep. She kept waking up, clutching her stomach, whispering in her own language. Jack wrapped more blankets around her and gave her a ration bar. She bit it like she hadn't eaten in days. How long were you there? Jack asked gently. Leah paused, then held up 6 fingers. 6 moons, 6 moons, alone, in chains, hiding like an animal. Jack felt a fire growing in his chest. Whoever did this, they would pay by morning. The freighter dropped into a dusty trading port on a desert world. Corin had repairs to make, and Jack saw a chance to ask around. He left Leah inside, with food and a locked door. Just in case, the trading post was full of shady merchants, broken bots, and loud aliens shouting in a dozen tongues. Jack moved quietly, showing Anna's photo, asking questions. Mose laughed at him. Others ignored him, but one old merchant stopped him, his green eyes squinting. I've seen her, he said, months ago. A human girl, very young, sold in the market. Jack's heart pounded. To who? The merchant frowned. The black cloaks. They work for someone called the Furnace Lord. Where do they take the children? Jack asked, voice shaking. The merchant pointed upward to the night sky, to the burning planet. Jack stared at the stars. Furnace World, he whispered. He rushed back to the freighter, but something was wrong. The outer doors were open, the alarm lights blinking. He ran inside, calling Leah. No answer. He found her crouched in a corner, breathing hard, her eyes wide with fear. 2 armed thugs lay unconscious beside her, their weapons scattered. Jack looked at the scene, then back at her, shocked. Leah whispered, they tried to take me. I didn't mean to hurt. Jack knelt down, checking her. You did good, he said. You survived. She clung to his arm tightly. Don't leave me again. I won't, he promised. He turned to Corin, who now stood watching. From the hallway, can you get us to Furnace World? Jack asked. Corin's eyes widened. You're mad. It's a death trap. Then die with me. Or fly me close and drop me off, Jack said firmly. Corin sighed, then smiled bitterly. You owe me a ship when this one burns. Deal. Jack said. The freighter lifted off again, engines rumbling like thunder. As they approached orbit, Jack patched up a small wrist device on old military signal scanner. He gave it to Leah. "If we get separated, press the green button." She nodded. Holding the device tightly outside the window, a red sun glowed in the distance, casting heat across the stars. Jack stared at it, knowing what waited ahead: slavers. Killers, maybe worse, but somewhere on that fiery planet. His daughter was alive, and he would bring her home, even if he had to walk through fire. Even if it killed him. He looked down at Leah again, now fast asleep beside him. He brushed her hair, gently, like he used to do with Anna. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. "Neither of us are." The sky above Furnace World burned red like an open wound. Flames danced in the upper clouds while lightning cracked in the distance. Corrin's freighter shook as it entered orbit. "Engines are overheating," the alien captain growled, gripping the controls. "This planet doesn't like visitors." Jack stood behind him, eyes locked on the scorched surface below, somewhere down there. His daughter was waiting, or suffering. He couldn't waste more time. "Land us in the shadows." "Away from scanners," Jack said, tightening the straps on his gear. Corrin smirked. "You'll be lucky if your boots don't melt in the cargo bay." Leah sat quietly, hugging her knees. She wore a hooded cloak Jack had given her, stitched from old blankets and patched leather. Her skin had started turning pale from the heat, and her eyes watered when she tried to stand. Jack knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to come," he said softly. "This place isn't for children." Leah shook her head slowly. "I saw her here. I remember the screams." He nodded, understanding. He couldn't do this alone, and she had more courage than most grown soldiers he'd known. The freighter touched down on cracked stone just beyond a ruined mining site. Massive chimneys loomed above the landscape, leaking black smoke into the red sky. Jack led Leah through the heat, every breath burning in his throat. The ground hissed beneath their boots, and distant machines growled like beasts. Where did they take the children? He asked. Leah pointed toward a long line of broken buildings, each one marked with strange symbols. "They keep them in the cages." She whispered, "Below the factory." They moved silently, hiding behind rusted metal and scorched stone. Soon, they reached a hole in the wall of the factory barely large enough for them to crawl through. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and oil. Jack pulled a rag over Leah's face, covering his own with a filter mask. They crept through the darkness, stepping over broken tools and shattered glass. Then they heard it. Voices, laughing, snarling alien voices. Jack peeked through a crack in the wall and froze. A group of armored slavers sat around a fire, drinking from metal cups and bragging behind them were cages, dozens of them. Inside, alien children lay curled up, silent and scared. Some were awake, others barely breathing, but none were human. Jack's heart dropped. He scanned every face, but Anna wasn't there. He turned back to Leah, who was trembling. "This is where I escaped from," she said softly. "But your daughter." She was taken to a different place. Jack felt rage bubble inside him, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Did you see her leave, Ate?" Leah nodded. "A woman came. Not like the slavers. She wore silver and had white eyes." Jack froze. "White eyes?" He repeated. Leah nodded again. "She touched your daughter's hair and said, 'This one is perfect.' Then took her away in a dark ship." Jack swallowed hard. He had heard of them, the selectors, powerful buyers who didn't come for profit, but for something stranger. Experiments, rituals. Who knew? But they always chose rare children. And they always left no trace. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from above. Jack pulled Leah into the shadows as guards passed by. He couldn't fight them, not with this many children inside, but he couldn't leave them either. He looked at Leah. If I opened the cages. Can you lead them out? Leah hesitated, then stood tall, her voice shaking. Yes. I remember the tunnel we used to escape. Jack nodded, then crept forward. Using an old access panel to override the locks with a soft click, the cages began to open. The children didn't scream, didn't run. They just stared, unsure if this was a trick. Jack knelt and whispered, "Come quietly. Follow her. You're free now." Leah took a deep breath and held out her hand. "This way," she said gently. The children followed her into the shadows. One by one, silent as ghosts, Jack stayed behind, drawing his blade just in case. But no one noticed the missing children, not yet. When he finally slipped back through the hole, Leah was waiting, her eyes wide with pride and fear. "They're safe," she said. "We hid them in the mine tunnel." Jack smiled. "You did good." She held out something, a small object wrapped in cloth. "I found this in the office," she said. "I think it belongs to your daughter." Jack unwrapped it slowly. It was a necklace-Anna's necklace. One he gave her when she turned 2. His hands shook. She had been here. And she had been taken. Again, Jack clenched the necklace in his fist, fire burning in his eyes. "We're close now," he whispered. Leah looked up. "Where do we go next?" He stared at the sky, where the dark ships had flown. "To the palace of the white-eyed woman," he said. "And I'm not leaving without my daughter." The city of Valzor was buried beneath the ash-cracked surface of the asteroid. Few knew of its existence, and fewer came out alive. Jack pulled the hood of his tattered cloak lower over his face as he stepped into the underground bazaar. The air smelled of sweat, oil, and burnt spices. Around him, hundreds of species traded things no one on Earth would call normal claws. Venom, organs, memory crystals, and worse. But Jack was searching for only one thing. His daughter. Beside him, Leah clung to his side, her small hands trembling beneath her sleeves. She had begged him not to go in alone, and he didn't argue. She had survived horrors worse than this. The underground was a maze of twisted tunnels lit by flickering plasma torches. Voices shouted in different languages. Merchants waved glowing collars. Children cried in cages hidden behind curtains. Jack's jaw tightened. He kept moving, trying not to look too long at the pain around him, but it was everywhere. A tall insectoid waved him over, its arms covered in golden rings, looking to buy. Fresh batch of rarelings just in. Jack showed him the hologram of Anna. The merchant leaned closer, blinking his 1,000 eyes. Human child, very rare. The creature hissed. One was taken, sold to the Black Sun's hand. Where is she now? Jack asked. Gone? The merchant shrugged. No returns, no refunds. Jack stepped forward, grabbing the creature's arm. Tell me where she is. The crowd went silent. The merchant growled, flashing its fangs. But Jack didn't let go. Voice from behind interrupted the moment. You won't get answers by shaking bugs. Jack turned to see a robed figure, his face hidden behind a metal mask. You want to find the girl, human? The figure asked. Follow me. Jack hesitated, then nodded, motioning for Leah to stay close. They followed the stranger through a narrow hallway until it opened into a private chamber. There, on the wall, were images records of sold children, dozens of them, including humans, and one photo stopped Jack's heart. Anna, younger than now, sitting beside a silver-robed woman, her eyes tired, her smile fake. That's her, Jack breathed. That's my daughter. The masked figure nodded. She was taken by the Order of the Eye. Their leader is called the Black Sun Queen. Where is she? Jack demanded. On the ice world of Nerith V, in her crystal palace, the figure said. No one enters unless invited. Jack clenched his fists. Then I'll break the door down. The masked man laughed softly. You'll need more. Then anger, human. He handed Jack a small, ancient coin carved with alien script. "This is an access token," he said. "It will allow you to board one of the Queen's transport ships unnoticed." "Why are you helping me?" Jack asked. The stranger paused, then removed his mask, revealing a pale, scarred face. "I lost my brother to them," he said. "I never got him back." Jack nodded. Understanding the pain in the man's voice, he turned to Leah, who had been silently watching the whole time. Her hands were balled into fists, her voice low. "I remember that symbol. The Queen's mark. She wears it on her forehead." The stranger added, "Like a star." Jack took the coin. "Then, it's time I pay her a visit." They returned to the bazaar, and with the coin in hand, Jack approached the gate to the landing docks. The guard scanned the token and waved them through. Never asking questions, beyond the gate was a sleek black transport ship, guarded by statues of frozen children to crystal. Forever trapped, Leah shivered as she walked. Past them, they say, the Queen makes them beautiful. Before taking their minds, Jack said nothing, his hand on his blade. He would not let that happen to Anna. The ship launched into the sky silently, its windows blacked out. Inside, they sat alone in a small chamber, the lights dim and cold. Leah leaned against him, whispering, "I'm scared." Jack pulled her close. "So am I," he admitted. "But I won't stop, even if I die." She looked up, her eyes full of tears. "Don't die. You're the only good one left." Jack didn't answer, but he made a silent promise to himself. No matter what waited on that frozen world, he would face it. He would save his daughter, and if he could, he would destroy the Queen who stole her. Outside the ship, stars faded into clouds of ice and storm. Ahead lay a palace of death, and a child who still remembered her father's voice. The world of Nerith VA looked like a frozen dream from above, but it was a nightmare up close. The Queen's palace sat high on a mountain made of clear ice and black stone. It shimmered like a jewel under the frozen clouds, but Jack didn't look. At the beauty, he only saw danger. The transport ship landed without sound, its engines releasing cold mist across the landing pad. No one came to greet them. No guards, no servants, just silence and wind. Jack stepped out first, holding Leah's hand tightly. The cold stabbed into his skin. Even through thermal clothes, Leah trembled. Her thin cloak no match for this kind of frost. Her lips turned blue in minutes, and Jack pulled her close. Wrapping his jacket around her, "You stay with me," he whispered. "No matter what," she nodded, teeth chattering. They followed the narrow bridge into the palace, which stretched upward like frozen spires reaching the stars. Inside, it was strangely warm. Steam floated from golden vents in the walls, and soft music echoed in the halls. But the warmth didn't bring comfort. It felt like being swallowed whole. Statues lined the hallways, children of many races, frozen in perfect stillness. Their faces twisted in fear or confusion. "They weren't statues," Leah whispered. "They were real." Jack nodded grimly. "The Queen preserves them." Preserves, not saves, as they moved deeper into the palace. Doors opened silently before them. It was as if someone or something wanted them to come. At the end of a wide corridor, a woman stood with her back turned. She wore robes of silver and white, her long hair like threads of snow. Jack knew instantly this was her, the Black Sun Queen. She turned slowly, and Jack froze. Her eyes were pure white, glowing faintly, and her face was too perfect, like it had been crafted, not born. "Welcome, human," she said, her voice calm and sweet like a lullaby. "I've been expecting you." Jack stepped in front of Leah. Hand on his weapon, "Where is my daughter?" he asked. The Queen tilted her head. "Your love brought you far, farther than most. I don't want praise." Jack snapped. "I want my child." The Queen walked past him slowly, and a crystal wall behind her turned clear. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Behind the glass was a room. soft and glowing like a dream nursery, and sitting on a floating cushion was Anna. His daughter, her eyes were open, calm, but distant like she was dreaming while awake. "She is safe," the Queen said. "She lives better than she ever could with you." Jack stepped forward. "Let her out." "Now," the Queen sighed. "Why take her back to a galaxy of war and noise? She is pure here, untouched by pain. She's not yours." Jack shouted, "She's mine." The Queen's smile faded, and cold wind suddenly rushed through the hall. "She is mine by the old law," she said. "You lost her, and I found her. She belongs to the stars now." Without warning, two massive beast guards stepped out. From the walls, their bodies like black stone and eyes like burning coals. Leah gasped and clung to Jack's side, but Jack didn't run. He raised his arm, pressing a button on his belt, an old military charge hidden beneath his jacket. The explosion was small but strong, shattering the glass wall and knocking the Queen backward. Jack dashed into the room and scooped Anna into his arms. She blinked, confused, her lips forming a single word. "Daddy." "I'm here," Jack said, tears forming. "I'm here, baby," the Queen screamed, a sound like a dying star. And the palace shook beneath their feet. "We have to go." Jack yelled to Leah, who had picked up a sharp crystal from the floor. Ready to fight, together they ran, dodging guards, sliding across icy floors as the entire palace turned red with alarms. Jack carried Anna tightly, whispering to her again and again, "Don't sleep, baby. Stay awake." Leah led the way, remembering the paths, turning corners, kicking open side doors. They reached the outer hall, but the exit was blocked. The Queen stood there, her robes now glowing with heat and light, her hands raised like claws. "You will not leave," she said. "She is not yours anymore." Jack placed Anna down gently and stood tall. "You're wrong," he said. "She was always mine." Then Leah stepped forward and did something Jack didn't expect. She screamed not in fear, but in fury. And a burst of light erupted from her hands, striking the Queen in the chest. The Queen stumbled back. Stunned, Jack grabbed Anna and ran. Leah beside him, her hands smoking, her eyes glowing faint blue. Outside, the ship was still waiting. Systems running, engines hot, they leaped aboard just as the mountain behind them cracked with ice and fire. The Queen's scream echoed into the sky as they blasted off. Jack held Anna in one arm and reached for Leah with the other. "You did it," he said, breathless. "You saved us." Leah smiled faintly. "Not yet," she said, "but we're close." The freighter flew fast through black space. Behind it, the icy palace of the Black Sun Queen crumbled slowly, swallowed by falling snow and cracking glass. But inside the ship, the air was not filled with relief. It was filled with silence. Jack sat near the medbed, his hands trembling, staring at his daughter Anna. She was alive, yes, but she didn't speak. She didn't blink much. She didn't hold his hand back. Her eyes were open, but distant, like she wasn't really there. "Anna," Jack whispered again, brushing her soft hair. "It's me." "Daddy?" She didn't respond, not even a flicker of recognition. Leah stood nearby, arms folded, her small body wrapped in a warm blanket. She was dreaming, Leah said softly, but the dream was too long. Jack looked up at her, eyes filled with pain. What did they do to her? Leah stepped forward and placed 2 fingers on Anna's forehead. She was behind a glass, not just in a room, she whispered. Her mind was kept in a dream world, like a cage with beautiful walls. She might still be trapped there. Jack leaned back in his seat, tears threatening to fall again. He had found his daughter, held her in his arms, but she felt farther away than ever. "Can we bring her back?" he asked, voice cracking. Leah looked unsure. "Maybe," she said. "But not with machines." Jack stared at Anna, remembering her laugh. The way she used to dance on his boots, He couldn't lose her now, not after all this. Corin, the freighters. Captain entered the room with a grunt. "Where are we heading?" he asked, glancing at the still girl on the bed. "Somewhere safe," Jack muttered. "She needs time, rest." Corin nodded, then hesitated. "I know a place," he said. "Not far, old human station. Abandoned but with working med labs." Jack looked up, set course as the ship adjusted its path. Leah sat beside Anna and held her hand gently. "She's cold, even in this warmth," she said. "Her spirit is still behind the glass." Jack moved beside her, desperate. Then, "Break the glass." Leah blinked. "I don't know how, but—" "Something changed in me at the palace," she whispered, "when I screamed. It came from inside. Like I was calling something old." Jack stared at her, a sudden realization washing over him. "You're not just a survivor," he said. "There's something more in you." Leah didn't answer, but her glowing hands gave the truth away when they landed at the abandoned human station. The corridors were quiet and cold. Flickering lights barely lit the path. Jack carried Anna through the dusty halls while Leah stayed close. Guiding with her strange instincts, they found a med chamber still working, its systems humming softly like an old lullaby. Jack placed Anna gently inside the scan bed. But it beeped red almost immediately. Cognitive block detected consciousness. Locked in deep construct mode, Jack slammed his fist against the console. "What does that mean?" Leah stepped forward, eyes glowing brighter. "It means she's trapped in a fake world," she said. "The Queen didn't just take her. She rebuilt her mind to keep her there forever." Jack's voice broke. "Then she's gone?" "No," Leah said firmly. "She's still fighting, but alone." She climbed onto the edge of the bed, placing both hands on Anna's temples. "What are you doing?" Jack asked, alarmed. "Trying to go in," she whispered. To reach her oyster before Jack could stop her. Light burst from her fingertips and spread across Anna's skin like flowing water. Leah's eyes closed as her body went still. Jack watched. In horror, both girls frozen in silence now. "Come back," he whispered. "Don't leave me again." Inside the dream world, Anna sat on a fake meadow under a painted sky. The sun never moved, and her laughter echoed without reason. She was surrounded by dolls made of light, whispering lies. "You're safe here," they said. "You don't need anyone else." Then a shadow broke through the clouds. A girl stepped forward, blue-skinned, glowing eyes, real Leah. She walked through the dream, calling Anna. "Come home," the dolls hissed. The sky cracked. Anna turned slowly, eyes wide with fear. "Who are you?" Leah reached out, someone who was saved. "Now it's my turn." A scream filled the fake world, and the ground began to melt. Leah grabbed Anna's hand, pulling hard. "Wake up. Your father is waiting." Anna blinked, confused, then whispered, "Daddy." Outside, Jack watched in silence, holding his breath. Then Nana's fingers twitched. Her chest moved, her lips parted, and she whispered, "Daddy?" Jack gasped, falling to his knees beside the bed. "I'm here, baby, I'm here." Anna blinked slowly, her eyes filled with tears. It was dark. So dark, he hugged her tightly, crying, "You're safe now." The lights in the med bay dimmed, and Leah collapsed beside them, her body shaking. Jack caught her, whispering, "You brought her back." Leah gave a weak smile. "No. She came back because she heard you." The stars outside the window glowed gently as the freighter drifted through quiet space. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was no sound of alarms, no screaming, no fear. Just breathing, slow, tired, peaceful breathing. Anna lay asleep in Jack's arms, curled against his chest like she used to back home on Earth. She had finally come back, not just in body, but in spirit. She had spoken his name. cried in his arms, and whispered, "I missed you." That was all Jack needed to hear. Now, as she slept, he ran his fingers gently through her hair, blinking away the tears that still came to easily on the other side of the medbay. Leah sat by herself, legs crossed, her hands glowing faintly. She looked calm, but distant, like she was holding something back. Jack looked over at her and stood up slowly, careful not to wake Anna. He walked to Leah and sat beside her. "You're not just a child, are you?" he asked gently. Leah didn't answer at first, then gave a small smile. "I was," she whispered, "until the Queen took that from me." Jack looked at her glowing hands. "What did she do to you?" "She tried to make me into a vessel," Leah said softly, "something to carry her power after her body faded, but I wasn't strong enough. Or maybe I was too strong, so she locked me up and forgot me." Jack clenched his fists. "She deserved worse than death." Leah looked at him with sad eyes. "You gave me something she never did." "A choice," Jack blinked, surprised. "What choice?" "To help," she said, "to stay or to run. And I chose to help you." He smiled, reaching out and taking her hand. "Then I owe you everything." She looked down, her voice small. "What happens now?" Jack exhaled, looking out the window. "I take my daughter home," he said. "If Earth will even feel like home anymore." Leah nodded. "And me?" Jack turned to her, his voice firm but kind. "You come with us." She looked up, stunned. "But I'm not your family," he said. "You saved my daughter." "And me?" Leah's eyes filled with quiet tears, and for the first time, she let them fall. She didn't hide, didn't wipe them away. She just let herself feel. That night, as the freighter flew toward neutral space, Jack sat with both girls, his daughter on one side, Leah on the other. He had lost everything once. Now he had something new, something just as real. The next day, the ship reached a spaceport near the outer rim. It's a place where no one asked questions. Jack found a human medical center and handed Anna over to real doctors for a full checkup. They confirmed her mind was healing slow but steady. "She'll need time," one nurse said, "but she'll recover." Jack nodded, feeling the weight on his shoulders slowly lift. Then he walked outside to find Leah staring at the stars. "You're quiet," he said, standing beside her. "I was thinking." She replied, "I don't know what I am now. A girl, a weapon, something in between." Jack smiled gently. "You're Leah. That's enough." She looked up at him. "And if they come for me?" "The Queen's followers." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then they'll meet a very angry father." She grinned, for the first time showing her full smile. A few days later, Jack found a small house on a quiet moon-green trees. Clear skies, peace. He didn't want to go back to Earth. Not yet. Too many questions, too many memories. Here, they could start again. He built a garden, a little swing under a tree, and let Anna paint the walls with colorful stars. She still didn't speak much, but she laughed again, and that was enough. One evening, as the sun set in golden light, Jack sat with both girls outside, watching the sky. Anna was asleep on his lap, and Leah sat beside him, staring quietly at the stars. "You ever wonder if there are more like you out there?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Maybe. Then maybe we'll find them one day," Jack said. Together, Leah leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you think she would have taken me too, if I was human?" she asked. Jack thought for a moment, then shook his head. "No," he whispered, "because I would have found you first." That night, as the stars rose high above the quiet moon, the house filled with warmth. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't the same as before, but it was theirs, built from pain, rescued from fire, held together by love.